Little Willow Town was the kind of place where everyone smiled, but something didn't feel right. Each year, right after the Festival of Lights, one family would disappear. They left everything behind, half-eaten meals, clothes on the line, and pets crying in the empty homes. No one spoke about it. It was like an unspoken rule. Stay quiet, or you might be next. Ellie Thompson, a young journalist who had heard rumors of the town, decided to investigate. She arrived during the festival and was immediately enchanted by the happy children, colorful lanterns, and sweet smell of apple pies. But when she looked closer, she saw the fear in their eyes. It was a kind of fear she couldn't ignore. Ellie started her investigation by asking simple questions to the townsfolk. "What happens to the families that disappear?" she asked an old shopkeeper. The man froze, his hands shaking as he handed her change. "We don't talk about it," he whispered. "It's better that way." Confused but determined, Ellie wandered into the town library, hoping to find answers in old records. The librarian, a frail woman with sharp eyes, handed her a dusty book titled The Curse of Little Willow. "It's just stories," the librarian said with a forced smile. "You won't find anything useful." But Ellie noticed something strange. Pages were torn out, and some parts were scribbled over. Someone didn't want the truth to come out. That night, Ellie stayed in a small inn. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Around midnight, she heard a soft knock on her door. She opened it to find a little boy holding a torn piece of paper. "They're coming," he whispered, eyes wide with terror. Before Ellie could ask anything, the boy ran away. The paper had a drawing of a tree with dark roots spreading like claws. Beneath it were the words, "The cursed tree takes what it wants." Ellie traced the drawing to an old willow tree at the edge of town. Its gnarled branches seemed to reach for her as she approached. There were strange carvings on the trunk, symbols she didn't understand. A chill ran down her spine when she found something buried near the roots, a necklace with the name Anna engraved on it. When she showed it to the townsfolk the next day, a woman screamed, "That's my sister's. She disappeared 10 years ago." The town erupted into whispers. For the first time, Ellie felt the walls closing in. Ellie found an elderly man named Mr. Harlan, who had lived in Little Willow his whole life. He was the only one willing to speak. "It started 100 years ago," he said. "The tree was cursed by an angry traveler who was wronged by the townsfolk. It demands a sacrifice every year. If it doesn't get one, it takes more." Ellie couldn't believe it. "You mean the town just lets this happen?" Mr. Harlan sighed. "We have no choice. If we fight it, the whole town could disappear." Ellie refused to accept this. She decided to confront the tree, even if it meant risking her life. She gathered tools and ventured out at night. The townsfolk begged her not to go, but she was determined. When she reached the tree, she began digging at its roots. Strange whispers filled the air, and shadows danced around her. The tree seemed alive, its branches swaying even though there was no wind. Suddenly, Ellie uncovered a hidden chest. Inside were photos, letters, and items belonging to the vanished families. The tree had been keeping trophies. As Ellie tried to burn the chest, the ground shook violently. The tree's branches wrapped around her, pulling her closer to its trunk. "You can't stop me," a deep, echoing voice growled. Ellie screamed, "You've taken enough, no more." In that moment, she remembered something Mr. Harlan said. "The tree thrives on fear." Summoning all her courage, Ellie laughed. "You're nothing but an old tree," she shouted. The tree hesitated, its grip loosening. Ellie used the moment to set the chest on fire. The flames spread to the tree, and it let out an otherworldly scream. By dawn, the tree was nothing but ashes. The town was eerily quiet, but something had changed. Families who had vanished began to reappear, confused but alive. Ellie left Little Willow with a story she'd never forget. She published her findings, and the world finally learned about the town's dark secret. The townsfolk never forgot Ellie's bravery. Every year, during the Festival of Lights, they lit a special lantern for her, a symbol of hope and courage.